The compassionate heart. Once, in a small village nestled among the hills, there lived a man named Jaya. Jaya was known throughout the village for his sharp mind and his incredible skills in trade. He could bargain and negotiate with the best of them, always making the best deal for himself, ensuring that he came out on top in every transaction. He lived alone in a large, lavish house, surrounded by treasures he had accumulated over the years. He was wealthy, independent, and, most of all, focused only on himself. Jaya had no family, and he rarely interacted with his neighbors, except when business was involved. He looked down upon those who were less fortunate than him, believing that anyone who struggled simply wasn't smart or capable enough to make good decisions. He didn't see the need to help others, as he believed that everyone was responsible for their own success or failure. One cold winter evening, as Jaya was returning home after a long day of bargaining, he saw a woman sitting by the roadside. She was wrapped in tattered clothes, her hands clutching her knees to her chest for warmth. Her face was worn with age and hardship, and her eyes were filled with despair. Jaya walked past her without a second thought, his eyes focused on the warmth and comfort of his home ahead. But as he walked away, he heard the woman's faint voice calling after him. "Please, kind sir," she said, her voice trembling, "I have not eaten in days. Would you spare a small portion of food or a coin to help me? I have nowhere to go." Jaya, without turning to look at her, replied coldly, "That's not my problem. You should have prepared better for the winter." With that, he quickened his pace, eager to return to the comfort of his home. That night, as Jaya sat by his fireplace, enjoying a warm meal, he couldn't help but think of the woman's face. The image of her sorrowful eyes lingered in his mind. At first, he tried to shake off the feeling, reminding himself that he had done nothing wrong. But a deep discomfort settled in his heart, one that he couldn't explain. He had everything, yet something seemed to be missing. The following morning, as he went about his usual business, Jaya heard news from a traveling merchant that a great teacher was passing through the village. This teacher, known as Buddha, was said to possess wisdom that could heal the heart and bring true peace to anyone who sought it. Jaya, intrigued by the rumors, decided to meet the teacher. Maybe this wise man could help him understand the strange feeling gnawing at his conscience. When Jaya arrived at the village square, he saw Buddha sitting calmly under a tree, surrounded by a small group of villagers who listened attentively to his words. Buddha's face was serene, his presence filled with warmth. Jaya, with his usual air of self-assuredness, approached the teacher. "Buddha," Jaya said with a smirk, "I am a man of success. I've made my fortune through my own efforts, and I pride myself on my independence. What can you possibly teach me that would make me a better man?" Buddha smiled gently, his eyes compassionate but wise. "I can teach you, Jaya, the greatest of all treasures, a compassionate heart. You see, success is not measured by wealth alone, but by the love and kindness we share with others. When we open our hearts to those around us, we find that the true richness of life comes from the connections we create, not the material possessions we accumulate." Jaya scoffed, shaking his head. "I don't need anyone else. I've done well on my own. What use do I have for others?" Buddha's eyes softened, and he motioned for Jaya to sit beside him. "Let me tell you a story, Jaya." The teacher began his tale, speaking softly yet clearly. There was once a traveler who journeyed through a vast desert. He was parched with thirst, and his body ached from the heat of the sun. Just as he thought he could go no further, he stumbled upon an oasis. There, he saw a group of people gathering water from a well. The traveler approached them and asked for a drink. Buddha paused for a moment, letting the words settle in before continuing. The people at the oasis could have turned their backs on the traveler. They could have kept the water for themselves, knowing there was only enough for a few. But instead, they chose to share. They gave the traveler water, food, and shelter, even though it meant they had less. The traveler, grateful for their kindness, was able to continue his journey, and he never forgot the generosity of those he met. Jaya listened intently, but he was still skeptical. Buddha looked at him with kindness in his eyes. "Now, Jaya, ask yourself, would the traveler have survived the desert without the compassion of others? You see, we cannot walk this path of life alone. The true meaning of wealth is not in what we possess, but in what we give. When we offer compassion, we nourish not just others, but ourselves. The heart that gives is the heart that grows." Jaya was silent for a long time. For the first time, he realized that he had been living a life focused only on what he could take, rather than what he could give. The woman by the roadside, the one he had ignored, had been an opportunity for him to practice kindness. But instead of offering a small act of compassion, he had walked away. The next morning, Jaya woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. He no longer saw the world as a place for him to take from, but as a place where he could contribute. He set out that day, determined to make a change. He began by visiting the woman he had ignored. He found her sitting at the same spot by the roadside, still cold and hungry. This time, he knelt beside her, offering her food and a warm blanket. She looked up in surprise, her eyes filled with gratitude. Jaya smiled, and for the first time, he truly felt a sense of connection with another human being. As the days passed, Jaya began to open his heart to others. He helped his neighbors with their work, shared his wealth with those in need, and took time to listen to the struggles of the people around him. He realized that with every act of kindness, his heart grew fuller, not emptier. Jaya became known throughout the village not just for his wealth, but for his compassionate heart. People admired him, not for his riches, but for his willingness to help, to share, and to care for others. In giving, Jaya had found a treasure far greater than anything he could have bought with his gold, the joy of living for others. Moral of the story: the greatest wealth in life comes not from what we accumulate for ourselves, but from the kindness and compassion we share with others. By opening our hearts and being willing to give without expecting anything in return, we discover the true richness of life. Compassion connects us to others and fills our hearts with a peace that wealth alone cannot provide. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a like, share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe to the channel for more valuable content like this. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.